What's going on, bodybuilding fans? First of all, Happy New Year. This is my 2022 Mr. Olympia review video where I'll give you my take on the results. So let's get into this. In 10th place, Rafael Brandao. I also picked Rafael to place 10th in my prediction video. This is a great placing for Rafael considering it was his first Olympia. He has great flow, great symmetry, great balance, very pleasing physique. Some people say it's even classic. And on a little side note, did you guys notice during the comparisons, Big Steve was calling him Brandon? But anyway, I believe he is doing the Arnold in March, so we'll be looking forward to how he does there. I think it's safe to say he'll place top 5 in the Arnold in March. In 9th place, William Bonac. Again, just like I predicted in my predictions video, I got him correct at 9th place. Against this lineup, I think it's a decent placing for William, considering he is getting older. He didn't look as sharp as he has in the past. You know, he has been as high as second at the Olympia. He's won an Arnold Classic. And unfortunately, I think his best days are behind him. I don't think he's ever going to reclaim that championship form that he did years ago. And in my opinion, I think it's time for the new guys to take over. And some of these older guys are going to have to step aside. In 8th place, also making his Olympia debut, Andrew Jacked. Again, I predicted him correctly in 8th place. For anyone to place in the top 10, top 8 in the Olympia debut, that's a great accomplishment. You know, he won 2 pro shows last year, and placing top 8 in the world is very impressive. My criticism for Andrew is that his back is kind of watery, kind of soft. He needs to get more detail in his lower back, glutes, and hamstrings. But from the front, he looks very impressive. And I think we're going to see a lot of great things from him in the future, considering age-wise, he's not young, but competing-wise, he is very new. So I think he has a lot more to prove, a lot more to gain, and we will see him winning a lot of shows in the future. In 7th place, Hunter Labrada, who I also picked to place 7th in my prediction video. So I correctly predicted 10th, 9th, 8th, and 7th places. I'm not going to be tooting my horn, but I don't think there's anyone else out there who got 4 places exactly right. Anyway, Hunter, I think he looked a little better in 2022 than he did in 2021. But, you know, the name of the game is conditioning. And, I mean, look in this picture, you know, he never really had the really super detailed etched abs or, you know, really crisp, dry back. So I don't know what more he can do. He had a year to prepare for the 2022 Olympia. He's going to have to qualify for 2023 Olympia now, so he's going to have to compete. Yeah, he's just going to have to work on the conditioning. That's all I can say. Okay, now we get into the top 6. So in 6th place, Samson Dauda. Samson is the only guy that I didn't correctly pick in the top 10. I had Michael Krizo placing 3rd, which was a bold prediction, but he placed 12th. Anyway, Samson, well-deserved 6th place award. He's very impressive. He's tall, he's wide, just standing relaxed. He's so impressive. He has a flaring quads, super round, but he needs better conditioning. You know, I don't know if he would ever have strided glutes or a strided lower back. But one criticism I have for him is when he does his back double bicep pose, it looks like he's squeezing his shoulder blades a little too much. I think I want to see him spread the scapulas out because he looks kind of narrow in his back double bicep pose, or maybe he just needs bigger lats, one or the other. But I believe he is doing the Arnold in March, and he's probably going to be the front runner for that show. So we look forward to seeing what he brings to the Arnold in March. In 5th place, the biggest shocker of the night, Big Ramy, who was your defending Mr. Olympia from the last 2 years. What can I say that hasn't already been said or that you guys already haven't thought? Like his back, what's going on with his back? what's going on with his quads. Uh, Very odd-shaped quads. His calves are downsized. His arms are downsized. He doesn't look like he did, when he won the New York Pro. I believe was it 2013. He looked very good back then. Now it's just there's no flow. His physique doesn't look pleasing to the eye, I guess you could say. I don't know what else he can do, but like I said, for William Bonac, I believe his best days are behind him. And I don't know if you guys remember, but when Jay defeated Ronnie back in '06, and then Ronnie came back in '07, and he took fourth, and then he retired. So I'm not going to say that I think Ronnie should retire, but I don't think he's ever going to win the Olympia ever again. So what really is the point? So yeah, maybe he should retire. In fourth place, Brandon Curry, who I also predicted to place fourth. So just to recap, I correctly predicted 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, and 4th places. So I correctly predicted 5 out of the 10 placings. Anyway, Brandon Curry is a 2019 Mr. Olympia. I don't think he's ever going to win the title again. He is getting older. He did come in noticeably bigger than he has in the past. The knock has always been the legs. But in my opinion, I think if his legs were super diced, sliced, shredded, I think the lack of size wouldn't be as apparent. So in other words, how bodybuilding is a game of illusion. The harder you are, the drier you are, you look bigger on stage. But like he's never ever been super sliced. Like he never has, super sliced, separated quads or hamstrings or lower back. So I don't know what more he can do. Like I said, like the other guys, he still is one of the top bodybuilders in the world. And if he wants to compete at the Arnold, in March, I'm pretty sure he would win it. But we'll see what's in store for Brandon Curry. In third place, Nick Walker. I had Nick taking second in my predictions video, so I wasn't far off. But he looked very impressive. He was improved from 2021. He had a great combination of size, density, conditioning. He doesn't have the greatest shape, but he's just freaky mass. I mean, look at those arms. I think he had the best arms in the show other than Michael Krizo. I'm not sure what else he has to do to improve other than just getting more conditioned. I think if you look at him standing, say doing the front double bicep next to Derek Lunsford, you can tell the difference in the V-taper, the back to waist ratio. So I think that's kind of what hurt him a little bit. But at least he did place higher than he did in 2021. He did beat Hunter Labrada in 2022, which a lot of people thought he should have beat him in 2021 as well. I haven't heard what his competitive plans are, but I'm assuming he's just going to shut it down and take the whole year to prepare for 2023 Mr. Olympia. In second place, Derek Lunsford, which was also a surprise. I predicted Derek to take sixth place. Very impressive. If you look at his physique, he's very wide. He has an X frame, wide flaring lats, small waist. His back has always been his strong point. He has shredded glutes, great detail in his back. One of the criticisms I have for him is his biceps. They don't have the best shape, no real peak, and you don't really see definition in his biceps. It's kind of blurry for some reason, but I think a lot of these photos don't do it justice. You got to be there in person. But he's made his Olympia Open debut and placing second. There's only a few people have done that, like Flex Wheeler, Kevin Levrone. So he has a very bright future. I haven't heard from him as well as what his competitive plans are. But if I was him, I would do the Arnold because on paper, he's going to win it. So imagine that. 212 champion, Arnold champion, and possible Olympia Open champion. No one's ever done that before, so if I was him, I would do that. But congratulations to Derek. Great guy, nice guy, and we look forward to seeing what he has in store for us in 2023. And your winner and new Mr. Olympia, Hadi Choopan. Nobody predicted Hadi to win except for Bob Chick. I predicted Hadi to take fifth. But I think it's well deserved. I think everybody will agree that he did win. Great conditioning, great combination of size and conditioning. I think he has the best abs and thighs in the business right now. I mean, look at how shredded he is. Look how he's hitting the pose properly. Hands behind head, square, and squeezing his abs. I'll go into that a little bit later. But if I had one criticism or two criticisms, he could have bigger calves and he could have bigger arms. You know, his biceps have good peaks, but I think he needs bigger forearms and triceps to match those bicep peaks. Also, when you look from behind, I have to agree with what Barry DeMay and Rich Kaspari were saying about the lower back. He doesn't have striations in his lower back. He does have striated glutes and hams, which is good, but not too much detail in his back. But then again, nobody these days has a Christmas tree anymore, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But well-deserved for Hadi. You know, he's very consistent. He placed third and fourth in the previous Olympias, and finally he's won one. I think it's very possible that we'll see a new Mr. Olympia each year for the next several years, which I think is good, very exciting for the sport. Okay, I have to talk about one thing regarding comparisons. Take a listen.
Abdominals and thighs.
So Big Steve calls for abdominals and thighs. It takes these guys 5 seconds to hit the pose. And literally there's only a split second when all of them are actually hitting the pose. Then you get these guys, you know, they're turning to the side, doing vacuums. How do you judge that? You know, I think there should be a rule where they all have to hit it the same way. Because like this, you know, this is a snapshot of the 1 second. Okay, everybody should have their hands behind their head. They should be square on and should be flexing their abs. No side ab poses, no vacuums. Okay, here's another example. Big Steve calls for abs and thighs. Ian goes straight into the side shot. You know, give William credit. He's actually doing it properly from the beginning before he goes into the side shot. Normally he would do it for like half a second, then go to the side shot. But, you know, how do you judge that? Okay, here's another example. Charles Griffin, abs and thighs, hits it for like 0.2 seconds, then goes straight into the vacuum. And you got Akeem Williams doing it on the side. You know, how do you judge that? Okay, I may be getting way off topic, but just to give you some context, here's the 1988 Mr. Olympia pre-judging.
Turn to the front. 2 arms overhead, abdominals and thighs. Do it, gentlemen.
So they get instructions. 2 arms behind the head, abdominals and thighs. And look, they're hitting it non-stop, no vacuum, no side pose. The judges force them to hold the pose enough so that they can compare and the audience can also appreciate it.
Turn to the front, abdominal and thigh.
Turn to the front, abdominal and thigh from the 1993 Olympia. So everybody hits it correctly, both arms behind the head, facing forward. Granted, Dorian turns to the side, but only after he hits it from the front. And then from the 2006 Olympia, everybody hits it, no vacuum, no side pose. I didn't mean to turn this video into a rant, but the point is everybody should hit the pose the same way so they can be judged properly. And Big Steve should give them enough time so that when they do actually all hit the pose at the same time, us fans, if not for the judges, have enough time to appreciate and make our own comparisons. That's all. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, put a comment below, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.